Moving right along, our next speaker is Tim McMullen. Tim is a proud dad to 4 great kids. They are his, of course. And he's also the founder of Red Pepper, a nationally recognized creative agency. For the past 20 years, Red Pepper has been helping companies like Slack, Mars, Deloitte, and Christie Cookie get ahead through innovation and advertising services. A former pro soccer player and avid sports fan, Tim approaches all he does with a head coaching mentality. And he's here to offer a little insight into how we can all set ourselves up to win at the game of life. Please welcome Tim McMullen.
Thank you. Darn it, the mic works. In January of 2016, my divorce was final. In May of 2016, Red Pepper had its first layoffs in company history. In July of 2016, I had stage 3 cancer. Needless to say, I did not feel like I was winning at life. And I felt like life was happening to me. The life I was living was happening to me. So I asked myself, what if I redesigned my life? Would that life happen to me? Boy, was I motivated to try. So, by the end of 2016, A, I had beaten cancer, and B, I had designed the first draft of my life map. I was going to design my life. So one of the things that was really important about 2016 was I grew at tenfold. I call it 10x growth. There were so many enlightenment moments. When you sign those divorce papers, there's nobody else to blame going forward but yourself. When your company fails as an entrepreneur, you've got to open up your mind to new possibilities and new paradigms, and I felt like I was failing there as well. And when you're told that you have stage 3 cancer, it's scary. It shrinks your world. It made me realize how many things I was making important that weren't actually important. So I challenged myself. I said, could I maintain that 10x growth for the rest of my life? I mean, I loved it. It's kind of weird. Actually, I want to tell you about this picture really fast. This, first of all, I don't know who smiles through cancer, but I do, evidently. This drug they're putting in, the nurses nickname it the Red Dragon. It's so sensitive. They have to glove up and garb up, because if it gets on them, it burns. And if it gets outside of your vessels, out of your veins, it burns. I'm like, why are you putting this in my body? And so you have to go through a lot when you go through that. But what it taught me was I had a complete enlightenment year. I grew by that much, and I wanted to maintain it. So I asked myself, how could I maintain that growth? So I designed my life. I was going to harness that motivation, and I was going to grow at that rate for the rest of my life. So I gave it a try. I'm here to tell you it did not work. It was impossible to maintain that level of, I don't want to say enlightenment, but actually of motivation. It was very, very difficult. And so I struggled there, and I think even a couple others said their lessons sort of wane over life. But how did I bring those back up? And so what I wanted to do was design my life. So I'm a big sports guy, so I just said, I'm going to design a game for my life. So the first thing I was going to do was define the game. What are the boundaries in which I was going to play? The next thing I was going to do was create the rules. What does it mean to play the game? And then the third thing I was going to do was win the game. The daily management of me. How do I actually go out there and win the game every day? Okay, and what I learned through all this is the motivation and the emotions of life are not how I was going to succeed. It was going to actually be the management of my life. I'm an extremely emotional person. I need to actually create things to manage my emotions. So the first thing I did, so basically I realized my biggest challenge was going to be managing myself. So this is actually my life map. Literally everything that's sort of important to me and how I manage everything on one piece of paper. Okay, and my hope is that you actually take from this the concept of, if I think about my life and what's important to me and how I can manage it, will I be able to create the life that I want. So I'm going to focus in just really quickly on this life balance part. This is a little bit like Nicholas's thinking as well. For me, I'm awake about 108 hours. Clayton, not Nicholas, sorry. I'm awake about 108 hours a week. Okay, and so I kind of broke it down like this. So 55 hours for professional, 10 hours for physical, 35 for relational, and 8 for spiritual. I want to make sure I was doing those. Now, I can cheat and I can have things overlap, but one thing that you'll also notice is they're not equal. So if I spent every waking hour going to the gym, I'd be quite buff, but I'd have to look for a new line of work. Okay, so you have to think about things like that. Also, relational and spiritual on the bottom, because if those aren't healthy, I struggle performing or being healthy in the top two. So I really focus on relational and spiritual being healthy, and that drives the performance upward. So once I had the game defined, I had to create the rules. And what I realized was I needed to be more like Beyonce. Think about it for a second. The top performers in the world, the people that we look up to, the people that inspire us, the people that we study, okay, they have rules for themselves, and they have discipline for keeping those rules in their world. Ronaldo does 1,500 sit-ups every single day. I think I'm actually going to adopt that rule. It's not in here, but I'm gonna adopt that rule soon. But the Beyoncés and Brené's and Ronaldos of the world, they have discipline in those rules, and I knew I needed to have those as well. So I'm going to talk about two rules that I really kind of focus on in my life plan. The first one is decide in advance. Okay, what I mean by decide in advance is I've created, what I want to be able to do is protect my future time. So I have things that are important to me that connect back to what I want to do as a human, and I want to be able to basically use my number one asset, which is my time, as intentionally as I can. So that's what I do is I create that protection for my future capacity. So even if my schedule is not made, I know my time is planned out. And it allows me to say no to things before I even have to think about it. Okay, and I'm actually going to kind of tell you what my four rules are that I like to run my yes criteria on. I kind of created them as no criteria. For one, working on client projects. I even recently did this. I got all excited about a project. It's so important. I made it important, and I worked on it, and I hurt the business. Okay, so the number one rule for me is working on the business rather than on client work. My number one value to the business is to focus on the vision and the people committed to Red Pepper. The second thing is things that change my plan for today. I planned my today. I want to achieve my today. And so I say no to anything that changes my today. The third thing is doing things that I can't leverage other people. I've never done anything significant in my life without involving or working with others. So if I can't do that, I say no to it. And the last one is events, invitations, or commitments that stray away from my life map and my life design. I just say no right off the bat. And that helps me protect future capacity. So the next one is grow on purpose. Okay, so I'm a huge believer that growing people are happy people. It drives me, it gives me energy, helps me break down old paradigms, look at new paradigms, create new orientations to go explore. It really, really fuels me. So if I'm intentional about my growth, I know that it's going to drive my performance. I'm going to quickly, because I am running a little bit out of time, I'm going to talk about a couple of the hacks that I like to use that I want you guys to know about. We've all done things like read a book or listen to a book and exercise. Okay, that overlaps exercise and growth. But a couple I want to talk about, Blinkist. You may have heard of Blinkist. It summarizes books down in 18 minutes, allows me to refresh old books or explore new books without reading the entire book. Instagram, I've hacked Instagram. Instagram is a very addictive technology, right? Well, the only thing I put in Instagram are things from the 4 categories that I want to grow. I don't put friends, family, or nothing in there. And so when I go there, which I do every day, I go there for a little bit, I'm feeding myself with the things that I want to do. The last one is a little goofy, but I promise you it works. I call it the top of mind trick. I literally take a squishy ball, it's yellow and shaped like a brain. And with a green marker on one side of it, I write a behavior that I want to get better at. Right now, I'm focusing on verbal affirmation. And on the other side with a red marker, I write something I want to do less of. Right now, it's sarcasm. Dan, no comment. Okay, but these are things that I now keep top of mind. I throw it in my bag, I keep it there for basically a quarter. And I'm telling you, it works. I think about it in the car. I'm in a meeting. I see it in my bag. I play with it. But what I do is over the course of that quarter, I develop those behaviors. And it works like a charm. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you. So I know that life doesn't always happen the way that we have planned. But because I have a life plan, I can stay more grounded. On May 3rd, 2020, the tornado destroyed Red Pepper. On May 23rd of 2020, the pandemic hit a national shutdown state. On June 23rd, I had a client with back out of a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract. It was a big deal. But what I was able to do was to stay grounded and stay connected to what was important and allowed me to get through these types of things with a lot less stress. By the way, I'm pretty sure stress is what gave me cancer. With a lot less stress and move through life. And so this is my life map. I'll actually happily share it with anybody that would like a copy and build your own. My entire deck, the deck is actually my entire map. And I really hope that you take from this and do things to give you clarity and confidence in your life for everything that you might experience. Thank you.